Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll go through the epic mode in Traycer. So let's get started. Epic mode helps you manage specs and tickets through guided workflows, making it easier to build complex features without losing track of your original intent. Before we go deeper, let's understand a few things. Traycer has different modes that work on a spectrum from heavy planning to quick execution. If your requirements are unclear or you're working on something complex, use epic mode. It's planning heavy. You get specs, tickets, and structured workflows to capture everything. If you already know what to build and just need it broken down into steps, then use phases mode. It's execution focused. And the cool part is you can combine them. You can start with epic mode to create your specs and the tickets, and then hand off some or all of those tickets to the phases mode for execution. This gives you the best of both worlds. When you're building with AI agents, there's a problem that keeps coming up. Your intent gets scattered across chat messages or just lives in your head. The why behind decisions, the constraints, and the edge cases. This is how drift happens. The agent isn't trying to be wrong, it's just filling in gaps because it doesn't have the full picture. Epic mode solves this by preserving your intent from initial idea to implementation. It uses a system of specs and tickets guided by workflows. Let me show you how this works. Let me open epic mode and show you what we're working with. When you create an epic, you select a workflow. By default, there is the Traycer Agile workflow. Let me show you what's inside this workflow before we start building. Click on the workflows panel here to manage workflows. You can see the Traycer Agile workflow. Let me expand it to show you its structure. It has an entry point called trigger workflow and several other commands. These are epic brief, core flows, tech plan, and ticket breakdown. These 5 commands guide you from requirements all the way to actionable tickets. Each command is a file with instructions for the AI. The workflow structures how the AI helps you capture intent and break down work. The default workflow is read-only, but you can clone it if you want to customize it for your team or yourself. Just click the clone button here. When you create custom workflows, each command has 3 parts: a description that explains what it does, argument hints that guide what information to provide, and next steps that define which commands can follow. You can also add new commands to your workflow using the add command button. We won't go deep into creating custom workflows today since that is out of the scope of this video, but just know these are fully configurable according to your team's needs. Now, as this workflow guides us, it'll create 2 types of artifacts: specs and tickets. Specs are high-level documents that capture the why and the what. Things like your PRD, your tech plan, your design decisions. These are living documents that evolve as your understanding deepens. Tickets are actionable work items with clear acceptance criteria. Think of them like Jira tickets, but inside your IDE. Each ticket represents a focused unit of work that can be implemented independently. The key thing is that full context flows through everything. All your specs and tickets are automatically in the AI's context, so your intent gets preserved from start to finish. Alright, let's use this workflow to build something. For this demo, we'll build a focus timer app for deep work sessions. I have selected the Traycer Agile workflow, which is the default one. I'll give Traycer a single prompt to show how epic mode helps clarify and capture our intent. Once I give the prompt, the right panel appears. This is the epic board where all our specs and tickets will live. Traycer is now using the trigger workflow command, which is the entry point of the Traycer Agile workflow. This command's job is to discuss requirements and ask clarifying questions to build shared understanding. Here come the questions. Traycer is asking about the core features. After I answer, notice it's asking follow-up questions to clarify the features I selected. This back and forth is important. It ensures we're both on the same page before writing any specs. Alright, questions are done. The workflow is suggesting the next command. This creates a concise epic brief spec that captures the problem and who's affected. It focuses on the product level, not technical details yet. You can see in the documents panel on the right under the specs section, our first spec just got created. I can click on it to view and edit it if needed. This is a mini spec focused just on the problem definition. I have the option to further refine this spec file before moving on to the next command. Next is core flows. This maps out user flows and UX decisions. How does the user actually interact with our app? What's the information hierarchy? You can see this includes UI wireframes created using HTML. The tech plan command creates our technical implementation plan. This defines the architecture, which files will modify, data flow diagram, and component architecture. Finally, we'll trigger the ticket breakdown command. This is where we turn our specs into actionable tickets. Look at the Documents panel. The Ticket section now has several tickets. Each one is an independently implementable unit of work. Let me click on one. You can see it has a well-defined scope for this ticket. It references the relevant specs that need to be constituted for this task. It includes clear acceptance criteria and shows dependencies with other tickets as well. Every ticket can be either in to-do, in progress, or done state. By default, tickets are in the to-do state. If I need to create additional tickets manually, I can use the Add Ticket button here. Once you do that, a modal appears which you need to add the ticket title and it will create the ticket file. You can manually write down your ticket description here or refer to it in the chat using the refer in chat option and let Traycer generate the ticket file content. Alright, now that we have our specs and tickets, let's talk about execution. First, I'll click the select option at the top to enter selection mode. By default, it will select all tickets. Let me select some tickets which I want to implement. Once the tickets are selected, I have options. I can refer to them in chat for further discussion and refinement before implementing, or I can hand them off for execution. There are two ways to execute these tickets. You can either execute these using phases mode, or you can directly hand off these tickets to your coding agent. Let me show you this quickly. I'll choose execute in phases for the first two tickets. You can see in the tool calls Traycer is reading spec files mentioned for these tickets. Traycer will break down the selected tickets into phases with the plan, execute, and verify cycle. Traycer has generated phases based on the tickets and the specs. I'm going to complete these phases real quick. Alright, all phases are executed. Now I can come back to my Epic board and update the ticket status. Let me mark these tickets as done since we have implemented them. The other option is hand off to Claude Code or any coding agent. This sends selected tickets directly to your coding agent. The agent gets all the context from your specs and tickets. After the agent completes the work, on the left side panel you can verify the changes, then update the status as needed. At any point, if you're not ready to execute a ticket, use the refer in chat option. This lets you discuss the selected artifacts, refine requirements, or explore alternatives before committing to implementation. There are different approaches to execute your tickets from an epic. The first approach is what we just saw. Create your epics with specs and tickets. Select the tickets you want to implement, execute in phases mode, verify after each phase, then come back and update your ticket status. The second approach is direct handoff to your coding agent. Skip phases entirely. Select your tickets, hand off to your coding agent, let the agent work, and then verify changes and update your epic. The key is that both approaches preserve context. Your specs and tickets are always available, so you're not rebuilding context from scratch each time. That's Epic Mode in Traycer. Use it when you need structured spec and ticket management with AI-guided clarification. It's designed for complex features where you need to preserve your intent from idea to implementation. Thanks for watching and happy building!